Welcome to lesson number one of the How to Retire Using Options Bots. Again, this is a document that I'm going through that I provided you underneath this video. So make sure to check it out. You can even print it or do whatever you want with it, but make sure you have it because you can follow along with me. Lesson number one is how much money do we need to retire? And so there are a few steps we need to follow. First is what is our retirement cost, AKA how much is rent? How much is mortgage? How much is utilities? How much is insurance? How much do I need to actually survive? And then outside of that, let's add on, I want to do extras. What about vacations, visiting family, dining out, hobbies? Whatever it is that you wanted to enjoy in retirement, also account for that as well. And then also put in more of a savings type of amount. How much you want to have saved aside for medical bills, car repairs, and that. And so again, if you don't know these numbers yet, you can use that using a budgeting app. But in order to know where we're going, we need to know what we're doing right now, and we need to know those numbers. And so for this video, what I'll be covering is, let's say my expenses. Again, I'm terrible at writing here, but let's say expenses per year, let's say account for $40,000, right? Let's say 40K. Let's say miscellaneous, everything else that I'm accounting for is another, because I want to live it up in retirement, is another 60,000, right? This is traveling, extra things, whatnot. That would mean I would need to have, oops, what am I going for? I would need to have a yearly retirement income of $100,000. Again, depending on where you live in the United States, $100,000 is a pretty good yearly salary to actually survive off of. Again, if you want more than that, again, determine your number. But you need to know, what is the yearly number that I want to have in retirement. After we know that, then we're basically going to pull a FIRE movement type deal. So if you ever heard of the FIRE movement, did a study where it says, hey, if I have all my money in the S&P 500, in the overall market, how much money can I withdraw every single year and never run out of money? And so this was a retirement idea, is if I can put in a certain amount of money into my retirement, invest it in the market, then forever I can pull out money. And so they determined that number to be what is known as the 4% safe withdrawal rate. When doing the 4% rule, what we're going to be looking at is we're going to need $2.5 million. So this means that in our trading account, we need $2.5 million in that account invested in the S&P 500, and every year we can withdraw this amount. And so again, if you're just going for an overall investment where there is no risk really accounted for, market crash risk, like you'll have all that stuff, you can't really avoid those risks. But if you just want to consistently withdraw 4% of your money, you can get at a $2.5 million account using this, right? And so basically the math of this is take whatever your yearly amount is and multiply it by 25. And that will give you how much money you need in your trading account. This is known as the FIRE movement. But again, we're not doing that. We're achieving a slightly higher return, and we're doing so safer. So again, if you come down here, look at option selling to the rescue. Why? Option selling, it allows you to become the insurance company. It's super consistent, and it's actually a way to produce reliable income, and we can structure it in a way where we have a lot less risk than the market, depending on the strategies that we're doing, which again, we'll dive into here in this next lesson, so stay tuned. But anyways, you can see here that if we're following these strategies, we can try to target a 2 to 5% return. Again, so if we're doing a 2% return a month, again, a 2 to 5% return a month. So again, if you're wondering, Austin, how much money can I expect to make? First off, disclaimer here, I cannot promise you anything, but what I have seen from our members is an average of a 2 to 5% return per month. And that, again, includes the average of good months that are around 10% and bad months that are in the negatives, right? And so again, it just depends on what you're doing. And so again, 2 to 5%. If we're having a 2% monthly return, and I want to make $100,000 a year, all I need is a $416,000 account. You got that? That's at 2.5 million, which may scare off some people. I need 416,000, and this will produce $100,000 a year for me. Why? Because 2% a month is equivalent to 24%. So that means instead of withdrawing 4%, I can withdraw 24% a year, right? Now, if I make 5%, Again, that's 60% a year. Now, again, these are huge numbers. You probably will have a year or two like this where you can achieve a 60% return. But when we are planning for this, plan for a 1% monthly return. Why? Better safe than sorry, guys, all right? We better do it safe than sorry. So if we're doing a 1% return, how much money do we need? Quite simple. We're just going to multiply that number by 10. So it's a multiple of 10. So that means that if I want to make $100,000 a year, I need to get to 1 million in the account, and that will get me to $100,000 a year off a 1% per month return, which is definitely something you can average with option selling. All right. Now, again, some months you'll hit 2%, some months you'll hit 5%, some months you'll hit negative. There's negative 4%, right? So it can vary, right? And then with this vary, you know that, hey, I can always withdraw my 1% a month, and it's basically making me $10,000 a month. I can basically withdraw here, and that's awesome, right? And so again, if you have good months, bad months, you'll have extra money in the account to go on an extra trip. But again, when I'm accounting for this, I like to use a 1% so that I can safely calculate the amount of money that I need. Hopefully, knowing that you only need 1 million is a lot better than you think you need a lot more money in retirement. Again, this is for $100,000, right? So again, let's say you're like, Austin, I live in small rural. I don't need that much money. I only need 60,000 a year. Okay, cool. Multiply that by 10 as a safe number. And again, 600,000. If you can get to $600,000 in your trading account, whether that's through adding money or trading over time, this is your retirement number. This means that you can withdraw $60,000 every single year, and that's awesome. So I just wanted to walk through the math of what you can do and what you can expect. Again, 2 to 5% is what you'll typically be averaging depending on the strategy you do, but that is how you calculate based on my yearly number that I want. How can I make that? How much do I need in my trading account? So I hope that makes sense. Now let's dive into what strategies can actually help give us the goals that we're looking for.